I'm Suzi Landolfi, and welcome to Be Crazy Well. There's no bullshit between you and I about pretending, hi, welcome to Be Crazy Well. I'm with George Foreman. You don't know the number, or you won't know who the fuck you're talking to. Right?
That's why I love our relationship, because there's no BS. There's no what do you call it? Arrangements.
There's no arrangements. We don't look any better than we look now. You're walking through your house. I'm in my messy bedroom. I can't even put on the regular. I have to blur everything, or you'd see all my stuff hanging out. As busy people, we have to sacrifice somewhere, right?
Amen.
So you
Amen.
and
That's the
I
only
are
way it
so
works.
busy, right? We couldn't get together in the same room because I'm going this way, you're going that way. We're going everywhere at the same time.
Yep. Then I get to see you in a few days.
That's right. So here's what we had to do, everybody. So George and I are going together with the support of his wonderful wife, who makes all of this happen. Let's just be honest, George.
She does.
The only reason you can go and do all this shit is because of Sarah. So Sarah, don't think I don't know that, and don't think I don't tell him every day. Like, we know how this all happens. Anyway, we're going to go to Jake's fight. And I can just say Jake. And now most people, it's like Cher. If I said, oh, we're going to share the concert, you can just say Jake now. And everybody knows who that is. But just for some of you who are not cool enough to know about Jake Paul. So here's my life, George. I want to start working out again, and I want to start getting healthy again, because I go through these kind of sprints and I go through these, sessions or problems in my life where I work out more than I don't, and I should work out more than I am, and all of that. And those of us that have the luxury and the training to know how important it is to keep ourselves physically healthy, we're like the plumbers with the leaky faucet.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Right. So you and I look great, and everybody said, oh, you're in such good shape or anything. And little do they know, because we know that's a bunch of crock, and that we're not as healthy as we look. We're not as in great shape. So I'm looking
busy trying to help everybody else stay healthy, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Right. So I'm on social media, and everybody says, oh, social media. And I'm like, what do you mean? What would I know about the world? I'd have to go to an encyclopedia. Like, you're probably old enough to barely remember encyclopedias, but that's how
I remember I had a set, I think it was Britannica.
That's right. And you had it for 10 years. So all the information you got was probably out of
10
date.
years old. Yeah. By the time I got it. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So by the time you paid it off, right? Because you had to pay it off monthly. So I go on, and this thing pops up going, oh, craft boxing. We're going to open this brand new boxing gym in Calabasas. And like, what? Like, that's right. And I'm like, let me get on quick. Like, okay, hi, can I buy a membership? And they go, no, you have to have an interview with George. I have to have an interview oh my God, this is fucking serious. And I want to do this more than ever now, because someone is taking the time to meet the people who are going to join this gym. I'm going, that's a bad business model, but a wonderful community model.
Yeah.
This is going to take a while, and I don't know how this is going to work, but I want in. And then I find out who you are, right? Keep going.
Yeah. No, I was just saying it was at the time, and I wasn't sure at the time. I was like, I don't know if I can keep this up. But I do know that no one's gonna like wake up and be like, yeah, I don't feel like we're selling a gym. I feel like we're selling a community. But you can't say that. You can say like, yeah, come, I guess you can, and maybe that's what people should say. But and that, I'm opening a community, right? Or I'm opening a community center. Maybe we should say that. But long story short, I feel like
once I got on the call with you, said, I want to create a community.
It was the first thing. And so to me, whether I could keep up my, one-on-one interviews of everybody day one or not, I wanted to make sure that the first batch, so to speak, of people, first 150 people, so to speak, yeah, about 150, that I knew every single one of them, number one. And that when people after that initial 150 or so were coming in, I was welcoming them into a community that I had curated, right? Or had a chance to, I can actually tell you, these are great people. I know every single one of them. I've actually sat and spoken to them for at least 30 minutes or so. So that essentially, whether I told them I'm selling them a community or not, that's what it was. So when they walked in and took a class, they would feel comfortable and so on and so forth. And I didn't feel like that was possible with the new gym if it was just a free for all. So thanks for going through that. I know that was kind of weird. Like, we have to interview you before you
I
can be a part of
loved
this
it.
gym, but it wasn't to keep people out. It was making sure that the people that came in were around the right people, that were going to help them grow.
And you might not have done this, but from a therapeutic point of view, it was absolutely imperative that you do that, because what you also did was you let me know what I could expect. You let me know that you were investing in me as much as I was paying and investing in you.
Amen to that.
So you let me know that I don't come to the gym with your iPods, or your earpods, whatever
In
those.
your ears, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd be put them in my eyes. That's why I call them iPods. Your earbuds, and think you're going to go work out and not talk to anybody. Don't come in here and think you're not going to be able to say hi to everybody and know everybody, and that there's going to be people here to support you, the staff and the other members, because it's a community.
Mm-hmm.
And I just need to tell you this. I don't know if you know this. It's very hard to build community in such a transient place, a place that wasn't built on history. That, like, I came from a community, I lived in a house once that was built in 1640. So generations of people have lived there and helped build that community. That's not what this little area is. So a whole bunch of people that came out here to find their fortune and their dreams and all of that, and then they leave very quickly as well. Come in and they leave, they come in. And let's just talk about the elephant in the middle of the room, which would be the fact it's not very diverse. Right? You look like my family. Like, this is what I grew up with, and I'm like, oh wait, what? I'm going to be able to walk in a place and see a whole bunch of different shapes, sizes, colors, genders, and whatever's in here. That doesn't happen here.
No, I mean, that's definitely, I've learned a bit since I've been here, but that is not the way you would describe Calabasas.
No, I'm just going to tell you something that people, so when the Black Lives Matter movement started, my white daughter, Kirsha, who had a black grandfather, said, Mom, we have to do we have to start a Black Lives Matter demonstration, not necessarily a protest, but a support, and get out on the streets and all like that. So she and her girlfriend started that and had a Black Lives Matter. And so, yeah, it's important to understand how we build community is that you make allies and you invite people in. You let people know it's safe to be here, that you're wanted, that we don't want to be here without you. And I can't even tell you how many African-American motorists stopped at our little protest with tears in their eyes and thanked us. So I'm telling you that what you did was absolutely let all of us who are allies and the people in the community that don't necessarily feel welcomed here. Like, we just had a protest on one of the overpasses of a white supremacist group, like 10 miles down the road. That happened here just months ago.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that when we talk about health, we talk about wellness, and we're talking about, building community, you did it with every fiber of your being on principles. You did that on principles. You just didn't say, I'm going to teach you how to punch someone in the face really well, because I would like to know how to do that a couple of times.
You know how to do that really well already.
I do now. I
Well,
do.
now you do.
And what you said was, everything matters. It's all connected. and community was the first part. So
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to talk to you and get you on this podcast of Be Crazy Well, because you are one of the craziest well people I know, and and getting more crazy and well all the time.
Thank you.
And then this idea that you came here and you are continually to add to this community. You've done an event on fentanyl awareness. You're now bringing in people to talk about their lives. And you invited me and encouraged me to do a mental health wellness session program. I'm on the calendar, like you put it on the calendar for
Yeah.
people to sign up to be able to say to do that. That's not how you grew up, though.
No, no.
Not how I grew up either. I never
No,
went to see a therapist when I was younger.
no, that was a taboo. It's still somewhat taboo. It's so funny.
What do you think that's about?
I think it's unfortunate because I feel like there's a, I mean, obviously not all, but I think there's a healthy amount of mental wellness or emotional health challenges that people face. Um, I think there's a healthy amount of, if you look at the whole pie of people that face mental health challenges, and I think we all do at different times in our life. I think there's a sizable amount, you'd know better than me, that um, their challenge is insecurity, right? It's rooted in some sort of insecurity that was created through an experience, something they experienced. Maybe it was their parents, a friend, a job, that they were fired from, a failed business opportunity, or something, way more traumatic, right? But it's some sort of insecurity that has created an emotional health challenge or mental health challenge, if you will. But then it's that same insecurity. No, in addition to that, it's another, I guess, but it's an insecurity that keeps you from seeking help or being comfortable telling people, I need help, or being comfortable just getting on the phone and being like, yeah, like this thing between my ears is not working the way I want it to work, even though it's all connected. Your whole body's connected. Um, and I think it's funny, like I said, insecurity creates a lot of the issues for people, and like I said, insecurity stops people from reaching out. Um, and it just is the way it is. But I think, I don't know. My opinion is all bad behavior, all poor behavior, or all suboptimal behavior stems from insecurity, and this is definitely one of them. I'm too proud to ask for help. Um, and on what we're finding though, is that the closer you get to the top, so to speak, I say the top of the chain of administrators, families, a husband and wife couple that have been able to withstand the test of time. The higher you get to the 1%ers of leadership, whether it's local leadership in the community, or leading a Fortune 500 company, or a big startup, you find that the majority of these people do have therapists. And they're proud of it. They're like, it's almost like, I have a Lamborghini. I have a big congregation, or have a school of 2,000 kids, and 90% of them go to whatever they're boasting about. They also boast about, like, I have a therapist that I've been seeing for 10 or 15 years. And that's something I learned. So it's just a shame that the same people who look up to the people who have these accolades, I've been married for 40 years, I have a PhD, I just sold a company for $1 billion. We look up to all these people, but we're not doing the things that help to get them there, help them maintain that same success. And a big part of that is therapy. So
Yeah, I
go
really
figure.
I appreciate you saying that, since I was just outed on Jake's podcast. So it's like,
How did he outed you?
yeah, he just put me, I don't know, he just posted it, and we did an hour and 35 minutes podcast together with two of his staff who I adore. And we went through our whole story and his stuff and what he's learned and all of that. So he just posted that on BS, another guy that doesn't do BS with Jake Paul. And so you're right. Like, when you look at people that want to get better physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, and financially, they're going to go and figure out Who's going to help me get there? What do I need
Mm-hmm.
to change to get there? You're in a boxing ring, and if someone says to you, look, one of the reasons why you're not being able to throw that punch as hard as you want is you're starting from here. You're not starting from here. You're starting from here.
Yep.
Well, the same with your mental health. The reason why you're not able to have that deep conversation with your partner or work with your kids is because you're starting from here. You're starting from something that happened to you years ago that you haven't addressed.
Yep.
And you get to now figure that out, what happened to you and how it affected you, both good and bad, or effectively and not effectively. And you get to change it. You get to practice something different, right? And if everybody hasn't figured out who I'm talking to right now, I should probably tell you George Foreman III. And like I said, the idea that now we can even see some of what your dad went through in the movie. We can start to see your generational trauma,
Mm-hmm.
your family's generational struggles, right? And then you add on what we would call historical trauma, like racism, poverty, all of that. That all comes down into the next generation. And the funny thing is, George, if you don't ask for help and you don't go and try to change those things that are not working, that you didn't even ask for, that were put upon you, they get worse with each generation.
Yeah,
You could
that's it.
find it more difficult to have success than even your dad, even though he came from such poverty and racism and everything else, say more severely than what you've experienced, because that mental health, that part of you that was never addressed, can actually weaken you, which people
Yeah.
don't understand. They should say, well, gee, if my dad did well, I should be able to do 100 times better, right? Because it's newer, better. I'm younger. I have more. He gave me more stuff. No,
Yeah.
because the mental health that comes down that generation actually makes it harder. The lack of mental health, I should say.
I'd say the vast majority of people don't understand that. I mean, I'm just now fully becoming awakened to this idea since I've known you, But I'd say most people have no idea, right? The idea is each generation is supposed to be better and better and better, and it might even be from financial standpoint sometime, from an education standpoint, they can be, and there's other areas, but that doesn't necessarily mean the mental health is better. If not, I mean, look at, it seems like statistically, and I don't know, obviously we weren't tracking all this data years ago, but it seems like statistically, the collective mental health of the United States, I'll just speak for our country, it seems like it's the worst it's ever been. But we're also is more the country as a whole is, we're the biggest economy in the world, we're the biggest military in the world, we're the biggest driver of culture in the world. We're all we're at our height in so many other areas, but it seems like the mental health has deteriorated to all-time lows. And what you just said would explain that. I never thought about it till you said it.
And what's interesting is everything you mentioned is the things outside of us that make our life easier, better, richer, richer in many ways.
Yeah.
What hasn't happened is we haven't grown from the inside out. We grow from the outside in. We try to build a life from the outside in. And what then happens is your core strength, your mental health core strength. So let's talk about that for a minute. The metaphor of boxing, the metaphor of physical health is so powerful, because I can look like I have a whole bunch of muscle on the outside, but if I don't have that core strength from the top of my chest to the top of my thighs, all of that other strength is not going to help me when I need to make sure that I'm solid.
So you
That
can't transfer it through the end of your fist if the core is not there, right? And you like all that. Yeah.
exactly right. If I'm only worried about from this to this, that's all I got, and I've got nothing here. Or I'm working out, oh, think of that, as opposed to working in,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I'm
Yeah.
working out and inside I'm going, oh, I don't think I really have got it, or I'm not as good as the other person over there, or I'm afraid and I don't want anybody to know it because can't let anybody know that I'm afraid. So all of that inside starts to eat away. It's almost like it's like termites, it's kind of like not realizing that that big tree that's in front of you is actually dead on the inside because the bugs got inside, or your header beam, or whatever those beams are.
They've been eating away. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what you've done with craft boxing, and of course, I don't even know how you came up with the name craft. I don't know if it's someone's last name or whatever. I love it because, first of all, for women, crafts, we're allowed to do crafts. You're not. We're like, no, no, let's go get all the men to help us make these ornaments and these crafts. Right.
Per
Yet,
usual.
right. For thousands of years, we had craftsmen. There's a whole bunch of tools called craftsman tools.
Yep.
I think of this shit. I mean, I spend hours thinking of this shit. And I go, wait a minute. We've always had craftsmen and
Not a
craft.
coincidence.
It's not a coincidence, right? If you want to make something, you have to craft it. So when you came, you and I are doing this mental health stuff, we're calling, craft yourself. We really mean it. And we really mean that you don't let go of the inside. You don't ignore it. You actually have to use the inside to get better outside.
Yep. Otherwise, yeah, there's just no way. There really is no way. You can run from it for as long as you want, but essentially you're going to have to deal with it at some point, or and then your kids are going to have to, unfortunately, too.
That's exactly right. So you did a couple of things that I want to share with the people. So not only did you have this wonderful, aesthetically beautiful gym and functional at the same time, because there's that. Some people think that something is functional, it doesn't have to look good. The gym looks beautiful, and it's so functional. It's so easy to navigate. You have a staff that are not perfect people. They are dedicated people. They work their ass off, and many of them, I would say all of them now, are understanding this idea of their own mental health as well, not just helping us do our physical workout. You can't walk in that gym and just think you're going to be able to work out all by yourself and be ignored. That ain't happening there. You've already probably been right? We're not going to do that. So that's
no, you'll get called out as soon as you walk in the door.
That's exactly right. So there's always that as well. And then what I wanted to share with people about what you've also instituted there, or you live, is, oh my God, you work out too.
Yeah.
Like, you're there, not just crunching the numbers. You're in there working your ass off, and you started to highlight some of the people that go there. So when you say you're building a community, you're letting us know who's in there, right?
Yep.
And so that's called 5 a.m. in Calabasas, which is wonderful. And I never felt as good as I did when you made me get up at 4 and get there at 5 a.m. and start.
Yeah, you're one of the first guys.
And
yeah.
I'm learning so much more about so many of our other members. Then you did another one recently, and I want to talk about this because I thought it was so important. One of the things that therapists are told not to do is to self-disclose. We're not supposed to really tell you about ourselves. And of course, at our session with Craft Yourself, I share a lot about my struggle and things I'm still working on. I was just talking to a therapist who said, yeah, one of the best things we can do, and actually it was a client, said, I love coming here because you guys talk about yourself. You share. We're not the only ones fucked up. Like, you can talk about what you're doing as well. You did a video of yourself recently called Monk, which I love. And you put up there all the things that people say to you because of your lineage, because of your dad, as a great boxer, a great humanitarian in many ways as well. And you shared the things that are oftentimes said to you as the son and the child of somebody who was one of those 1%ers, right? Why did you do that?
Yeah, I think the reason I when I posted that video, the reason I called out some of the things that people say is and maybe it's just unique to me. Like I'm just one of those people. I'm not really externally motivated. I'm actually like externally demotivated. So if I were ever a
Say
preacher
that.
and people,
Yeah.
what's that?
Say that. Explain that when you're
Externally,
extremely
yeah,
demotivated. Yeah, that's a
I would
great.
say, yeah, no, the reason I said externally demotivated is because I really am driven by the passion to complete things that I want to complete, you know, and then the minute other people want me to do it, I kind of get turned off. I don't know why I've been like that. I'm sure there's an explanation for it, but I'll give you a quick example. Like if I were a preacher, right? And I was preaching and people started saying amen, 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 I'd probably change the subject, you know, or I'd actually tell them to stop. Or if I was giving a speech and you know, I was getting a lot of ovations like mid-speech, right? That would turn me off, right? If it's a joke and people laugh, that's cool, right? That's what you're supposed to do. And I feel like people cheering you on or amening you or whatever it is, I think that's a very positive thing. Don't get me wrong. It's just not how I'm wired, right? And so with me and my boxing career, the minute I started training and what always happens with boxing in general, all sports, but boxing especially, because there's no league. No one actually understands how the sport really works. I think I'd say 99% of fans have 99.5%, 99, probably 99.9% of boxing fans have no clue how the industry works, how the sport works, how you get fights, how they're judged, all the inner workings. Like people have no clue how it works. And even people who are in it, sometimes fighters who are in it don't understand how it works. This is the wild, wild west of sports. But everybody wants to come to your fight and they want to ask you, when's your next fight? When's your next fight? When's your over and over and over. And it becomes, you know, it just becomes very much like, okay, let me know, let me know. Like everybody's telling you like, you have to check in with them on your fight career, you know, because they can't go and see your standings. Obviously they can't go to ESPN and there's no ticker. Um, and so, and then there's a lot of questions, right? If you're, for some reason, there's this misnomer that if you're not from the worst neighborhood in whatever your respective city, if you're not from extreme poverty, if you're not from extreme trauma, that there's no reason for you to want to compete as a pro boxer. Um, but people don't bring that to, people don't say that about basketball players, football players as much. Definitely not golf, right? Not tennis,
Tennis.
and so on and so forth. And obviously I know it's because people are like, well, why would you expose yourself to such pain, potential pain or such potential damage if you didn't need the money? Um, and then you have to deal with all those questions. And then obviously when you have a father or someone in your family who or a mother who's achieved great success in the field that you're in, then you have all these questions around, are you doing it because they did it? Are you, and so on and so forth, right? Are you wondering if you can live up to their, you know, whatever? And I know for sure people whose parents were legendary lawyers, doctors, writers, or whatever go through the same thing. None of that drives me. None of that. I'm not. It's not like a, you know, none of it, I guess none of it drives me. In fact, it turns me off because once again, maybe for me, it takes the attention away from my inspiration in the work. Right. And so me kind of in that video calling it out is my way of kind of saying, hey, everybody, shut up. This is about me. This is about my passion. It's something I enjoy doing. I'm sharing it with you. Right. Because my hope is that in sharing it with you, maybe some of you guys will be motivated because I got motivated by watching Muhammad Ali on YouTube, Sugar Ray Robinson on YouTube. Thank God for YouTube. Sugar Ray Leonard, even my father. I got motivated by watching other people fight. I got motivated by hearing stories about um, Bernard Hopkins, who spent time many years in prison, lost his first pro fight and became a Hall of Famer and held his title for 10 years. So I think finding inspiration from others people's stories is super valuable, which is why I share. But for some reason, I'm just turned off by cheers. I'm not really turned off by booze, but I guess even now, like, I'm kind of like waiting for everybody to get off my back about when I'm going to fight next, who I'm going to fight next, asking me the same questions over and over. God bless them. I know they're just, it's all well intentioned, especially when, but like half the time people ask you that, they're just trying to make conversation. They don't really care, but you got to answer and give them a whole explanation about something they don't even understand. So for me, it's like, I'm kind of waiting for the dust to settle. Yes, I'm going to box again. Yes, I love boxing. Yes, I'm 16 and
Well,
no, you didn't
that's
know that. I've
the
already
answer.
done this before. Yes, I've been teaching boxing. Yes, 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 yes. All right, stop asking about it. Forget I'm even going to do it. and then I can be left to peace. And I think like the last thing I'll say is I feel like I'm not like a celebrity, like Jake Paul or Barbara Streisand or anybody who's a big celebrity. But I think you can feel when eyeballs are on you, you know, whether you're, you know, I was talking, my dad told me the story once about how a little person, and I believe is the right term, but someone who's smaller, um, you know, they said they walked around. Some people call them dwarfs, some people call them midgets, etc. But he said to my dad how stressful life is, right? And he was asking him why. He's like, is it because things are made for you and so on and so on? He's like, no, it's just like when I walk into a room, people are looking at me. And he's like, I can feel it, you know? I can feel it. And for me, I like, no, there's nothing wrong with attention and I'm completely fine with it. But when you have a lot of eyeballs on you, when you're trying to like work on your craft, it's like almost like trying to like imagine like an artist like painting his masterpiece, and he's got 200 people. That's why I said it's not about the celebrity, just 200 people watching him all times. How's it painting? How's it painting? How's it painting? When are you going to post it? Where are you going to post it?
Never
And
thought of that.
Matt, and then physically watching him in the midst of it, maybe making pottery or something, how that would probably it would probably take, I don't know, I'm feeling, in my opinion, it would pull out a lot of his creative energy. And I don't know that most artists would be able to create under that environment. Now, when they're done and they say, look what I've done, take a look, you can buy it. That's different. But I just feel like the eyeballs, every time you step out, everybody's wondering what you do and they want to have a question. It takes away some of your creative flair. And that's how it is for me. Boxing is not like a profession. It's definitely not a profession for me. It's an art form. And I'm working on my craft. I'm trying to get better. And it's just not about anybody but me, for me. I'm not, this is really hard for people to understand that, you know? So that's what that post is all
Yeah,
about. There's my 7-minute explanation.
yeah. I asked, that's why I asked, because it was so, that video, and we'll add it to this, was so powerful. And it was so important to remind people why you do something. Can't be for the outside. It's got to come from the inside. And it's yours. It's your craft. It's your event. It's your experience. It's why I say to the parents all the time, don't tell children what a great job they did in their game. Or if they lost, oh, yeah, I'm so sorry you lost. And, you know, don't let it be their experience. The only thing I used to say to my grandson when he played sports, I go, so how was that for you? How was that for you? It sucked. All right. Why did it suck? Well, we didn't play as a team and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't, and I go, got you. I hear you.
Yeah.
Or he'll say, oh, it was great. Why was it great? What happened? I didn't make it. It's not for me. It's for him. It's his joy or his struggle. Right.
Yeah,
Right. And if that's, so
I
I'm
agree.
so happy because I haven't asked you in months. I think I asked you once, when are you boxing and where?
No, and it's okay. I don't want people to
But
not
I mean,
ask
I'm
me,
so
but
grateful that I realized I stopped. I asked you once and then I went, that's his. That's his.
no, and like I said, I agree, and I think I'd love to ask you more about what you said about children because I've always wondered about that. But I feel like work, you know, can be for show, right? Work, right? And for some people, boxing or basketball or whatever, it's just work. I feel like some people are extrinsically or not extrinsic. What do you call it? Extrinsically, or like intrinsically, extrinsically. Like some people are motivated by recognition, whatever. Like I don't want to be recognized by like my boxing skill. I do by me, you know, or by somebody who really understands the craft. And there's like 7 people that I can think of. To me, those matter, but I guess my point is, I feel like some people are driven by all these things, but I feel like true artists. Some people are driven by accolades. Some people are driven by money. Some people are driven by likes, claps, and whatever. But I think true artists are driven by, like you said, art. How did you experience that? Like you said with the youngster, they're driven by just feeling like they've accomplished something that they're happy with, or maybe someone else who's been through what it takes to become a great artist, whether it's a musician or someone who paints or draws, someone who's been through that journey and says, "Yo, I see what you're doing." Like respect, you know. I think artists are driven like that. And I think for me, boxing, I'm into it because it's an art form. I'm into the art side of it. I'm not into everything else. And to me, like if it's about like competing at the highest level and fighting it's fighting, somebody who could potentially seriously hurt me, then, I do it because I want to know whether I can do it or not. Obviously, you have to get paid because there's risk involved and your whole team has to get paid, right? Your managers, promoters, your trainers, and all that. But it's about the art for me. It's about the art. I wanted to ask you though, tell me about why you said with children, you asked them, how did you experience it? Or as opposed to just saying, good job, that
Yeah,
was great, or that was amazing. Can you tell me why you said that?
yeah, because I've imposed my opinion on the craft of that child, on the experience of that child, that how they performed made me happy. You made my opinion more important than your experience, because when I say good job and they know they didn't do a good job, they didn't feel like they didn't put all their in, they may have, whatever, then I'm assuming I'm putting on them what they have to do to make me say good job, to get my validation for them.
Mm,
And what you just talked about was your own personal validation. So here's what happens. If we train people to seek outside validation for something that they love and they don't get it, someone doesn't like their art, someone's not buying their art, or they lose a match or they lose a game, they are at risk. They are at personal risk, even to the point of suicide, because this joy that they had and wanted to do this because it brought them joy is now dismissed by other people's opinions.
mm-hmm,
So I wanted to make sure that I didn't put his joy of baseball in my life. I didn't play the game. I didn't go to all those practices.
mm-hmm,
I don't know if what he did out there, even though they lost, was a huge struggle for him and he felt great about what he accomplished. And then I go, gee, how come you didn't strike so many people? What the fuck has my opinion got to do? Why am I sitting in the bleachers giving my opinion? This young man might have played his best game in his mind,
mm-hmm,
and yet I've got an opinion about it. And I
mm-hmm,
put that on him. And, or it could be the other way around. I might think that he did a great job and he thinks he did his worst job. I
mm-hmm,
want him to be able to know what he did well under his context, his conditions, not
mm-hmm.
mine, not mine.
Yeah, I love that. I
And then
really
I
do.
get to ask him questions. I sucked. It was awful. It's like, how come? What happened? Well, I was tired, and then, the team was looking at videos more than, paying attention to the game. And then I got mad at myself because I was throwing a bunch of balls and I couldn't shake it off. And I go, okay,
Mm-hmm,
what do you think you need to do? What do you want? What is it? Is there anything I can do to help? Or is it,
mm-hmm,
no, I got it. It's all on me. I got to figure it out.
mm-hmm.
I mean, what a lesson. Internal strength, not external validation. And that's why I was so moved by your video, because I said, I don't think he knows what he's done. He's you're so intuitive that I think you don't know exactly how brilliant you are until after the fact. There's some other people in my life like that. You do something because of a thought or a feeling, and then don't understand the greatest magnitude of what you just shared with people. You told people in that video to do what you love because you love what you're doing.
Yeah.
Period. Doesn't matter about whether your father was good at it or not. Doesn't matter if you're old. Doesn't matter anything about when you do it, how you do it, like underwork. It matters that you're doing it and it's your choice and it brings you joy.
Yeah, I feel like, in my opinion, like to your point, it just hit me as we were talking, like being able to have the time too, but do what you love for you. not because your mother wants you to do it, your father wants you to do it, your coworkers want you to do it, your fans want you to do it, whoever it is, but not for any external reason, but to just do it because you love it and to be able to follow that passion and have the internal reward. I just feel like that's the ultimate form of freedom, you know? It really is.
Absolutely is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's your time, your energy, your days. Days are numbered. We know that. We're not going to live past 100, most of us. Some of us won't even make it there. So the point being is how you spend them has to be from your heart, from your being.
Yeah.
And so then what happens is when I go into the gym, so just I'm going to take it to a step further, knowing that you're doing it because you love it, I get to go in there and do it because I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I get to give myself, I get to say, I deserve this joy. I deserve this community. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I don't have to do anything. I can just go in. And George, there's a shitload of people in that gym that feel the same way. I
Mm-hmm.
can name a whole bunch of them that are in there because they have learned to love what they're doing for themselves.
Yep.
Then it goes in deep, it stays. And the same thing for mental health, for any of those classes that we offer and sessions that we offer. They're doing it now for their own core strength. And then they can use that core strength for so much more in their life.
That's right. Just like boxing.
Just like boxing. I can't even tell you how many times I go, yeah, you can only fight for 3 minutes. Then you have to go to
Yeah.
your corner and figure out like what did I do wrong there? Like what could I have done better? The only difference is you want 2 winners, if it's an argument. You don't want one, you want 2. You want
Yeah.
right? And you want to
Yeah,
become
not a draw. You want 2
not a
winners.
draw. That's right. We're 2 winners, not a draw. Absolutely. Because then if you have a draw, you're gonna have to go back and do it again.
Yeah.
So there's that. So I was so grateful and I'm so excited about going to this wonderful event. And here's what's funny about Jake. So having worked with him now for over these past 2 years, and is like you so committed to wanting to know. I mean, I always say there's 2 kinds of people in the world. People want to know and people don't want to know. They already think
Yeah.
they know. Don't try to confuse them with giving them facts, right? They just already
Yeah,
want.
there's little things called facts, right?
All right. And they just don't want to hear it and they don't want to change. And okay, fine. I'm not going to torture you and try to tell you any other. So you want to hang out with the people who want to know. And what's interesting is if you've noticed, and people say this, look how much he's changed, and even in terms of his own personal life and boxing life. I want to be a world champ. I want to prove to myself that I love this and I want to do this. And all the outside stuff that he used to love and do is not so wonderful anymore. Right. Where he's like, oh, wait, he just did the funniest video where he's going, I don't even like these photo shoots anymore. How did I even like these at one time? And it's wonderful to watch go, what happened? Like, I don't even like them now. Right? When you start to get to know yourself and you have your own goals and your own purpose and your own mission, that
Yeah.
you'll find that there's a whole bunch of stuff that was given to you or presented to you or you were indoctrinated whether you thought you had to do that starts to fall by the wayside and the true authentic you come forward.
No, I couldn't agree more with what you just said. I liken it to I think of like 2 analogies, and I'm big on analogies because that's just the way I think. Like I visualize everything. I don't like. I think my wife discovered the other day I may not have an inner dialogue. Like I don't think I talk to myself in words. I just see images.
Yes, yes.
So bear with me. But I think like I liken it to like if your cup's been empty, like it's not a good feeling when your cup is empty, right? But there are things that can, for momentarily, take away that empty feeling, right? Without your cup being full. And so that could be a party. It could be someone likes a post of yours, right? It could be people cheering you on. It could be money, right? I crushed this deal. I just made, $20, $200, $200,000, whatever it is. It could be a car. I think it could be a trip, a vacation, Botox. Like or even like your child doing really good on the sports field, right? There could be a lot of things that like take your attention off or distract you from the fact that your cup is empty. And I feel like a lot of people, when their cup is empty, emotionally, they have a whole schedule of these things. So they never have these little spaces in time where they can feel that emptiness. And when they do, they're just like looking for the next thing, right? Could even be drugs. But when your cup is full, I think you start to look around like, what in the hell have I been doing? And like, why do people do that? And why don't I want to do it anymore? And why did I just do it and I don't feel anything? In fact, I feel lower. I think to me that's what I hear, when you talk about that story. Or the other thing I think it's the same thing. Like if you have a house, I'm just imagining the most simple house you could ever imagine that has like 4 legs on it, right? And one leg's missing, which I think even people who do engineering might call that an insecurity, right? Or a potential fault. And you do things so like that insecurity isn't like an issue, right? But the reality is there's a leg missing, right? And when you actually have that leg up under you, so there's no insecurity on all 4 corners. Once again, you don't need these things that you do to protect that insecurity, to shore up, like if it was a house, I would put like a rope on top of it to hold that leg up, or I'd press a big brick, a big rock up against the house where the leg's missing so it wouldn't lean over. But none of that's ideal and it's hard to maintain. So I guess long story short, I feel like we all do things to manage our insecurities so we don't have to deal with them. But when that insecurity is gone, you just look back at yourself like, how stupid was I, right? Or how silly was it, right? And you can also look at other people like how silly it is. Like I don't
And so
drink
it
right
didn't
now.
last.
What's
Like you had
that?
to keep doing more and more. It didn't even last. So those
No.
things you did, you have to keep doing them and doing them, which means you're on that wheel again because it doesn't. Whereas if your cup is full, if you know who you are and you've got your joy and you don't need something outside of you, that insecurity is now full. It's already been taken care of, if you will, or it's cared for in a really solid way.
Yep.
Right. Then you don't have to keep adding more and more. The cup's already full. I can walk around, and say, no, I got everything I need right here. Get everything.
Yep.
We just went full circle in the conversation. You started with the words insecurity.
Mhm.
And we've just gone a whole hour with you now going back to that idea. It's an inside job. You craft yourself from the inside out, not from the outside in.
Mhm.
That's what we have to do. And it's a daily bunch of practices. That's what it is, based on principles.
Yep.
So principles shore me up. When those 4 legs are my 4 principles, then whatever else is happening outside, when someone says, oh, you'll probably never be as good as your dad, the answer to that is, I hope not. I hope I won't be. You're right. Right. Oh, that's it. My dad's got it. And there's just wonderful ways to answer. It's like, yep, I never will. Thank you.
No, and for me, and it's so funny for me, like he's so far like my dad is my dad. Like that's what I call it, like talk about horses and like some sports or like talk about my marriage and stuff like that. Like, and we talk boxing because he was good at it and he was my coach, but like he's just not in my realm of like I don't even think about him when it comes to what I'm going to accomplish in the sport, right? I don't think about him at all. I enjoy watching him and I try to take from him like I look at other fighters, right? But it's just it's the furthest thing away from it. But I really feel bad for there are people who come from, like you said, parents who were 1%ers in their category, right? In terms of their accomplishments that have that hanging over them. And it's not that I feel bad. I don't even know how to relate to it. Now I'm sure I have my own insecurities like anybody else, but that's not one of them. So it's just hard to even like respond to that. But anyway, go ahead.
Well,
You
it
made
was
such
just,
a good
I'll
point.
end with this one thing, and then I know you're home, and I know that little girl is there, and Sarah, and we have long days. I get it. So, lots of people are getting to know me and my work, which is great. That's fine. Or you think you know me, or you know the parts that you see. And one day, a young woman in her 20s kept saying to me, I bet you was such a great mother. I wish I had had you for a mother. You're so what? And I go, no, I really wasn't that great of a mother. I did a lot of fucked up shit. My poor daughter's still paying for it. No, I don't believe that. I just bet you were a great mother. And I go, okay, hang on one second. Young woman here, and she doesn't believe what a fucked up mother I was. Can you tell her? And I go like, my daughter goes, oh my God, she was such the craziest fucked up mother. You have no idea. I'm still going to therapy because of her.
Yeah.
Right? So it's this idea that one of the things we can do, and now that you're a dad, and you still have a dad and a mother, and I am a mother and a grandmother, that we can help pave the way for each generation, whether they're part of our blood generation or not, to encourage them to work from the inside out, to not worry and not be stigmatized because you deserve to ask for help. You deserve to talk about how you're thinking and feeling and acting, and are they coming together and are they helping you? So we get to be the wise elders that get to say, right? So that someone like a Jake has the courage to be able to say, I need to talk to someone. I'm not doing well. I've got all this, and yet this isn't working, right? So or that you can actually get a mental health session in a boxing gym, because it should be everywhere, because it
Really
be
should.
everywhere. So I just can't thank you enough. And I look forward. I remember, and so we're going down to go see this young man get in the ring again, and I'm so grateful that you're coming with me. And I always appreciate that when you and I walk together. You don't know this, but you're 6'5"?
Yeah, about 6'5",
I'm
yeah.
6'5", and I'm not even 5'6", so I'm like 4'11". So, so when we're together, there's this wonderful thing where I end up like this for the entire while I'm there. I come back and I go, fuck. I gotta have to sit down so I can stand and look. So bless you. Thank you, George. I love you.
Thank you.
I'm so
Thank you.
grateful to call you my friend and to be a part of craft boxing. And I'm going to just tell everybody, listen, if you want to see real crazy well, follow this guy, because he's as crazy well a human being as I know. Grateful for you.
Get in there, and so grateful for you, Suzi. It's funny you talked about our height. It's I don't feel like I'm taller than you at all. It's the funniest thing. I have to ever so often I realize I am, and I'm like, whoa, look at here. But but I really don't. I really don't. I see people I see them how I see them emotionally, and you're a giant to me. And I mean that. Like, I had a sparring partner who was in his 50s in my previous career, and he would come in, and he was trying to explain something to me one day about why he was able to hit me with a specific punch. And I've been sparring with him maybe 6 times 5, 30. So call it 120 rounds a week 120 rounds a month for maybe 6 months at the time or whatever. And he was like, well, she's like, George, the reason I'm able to hit you, because da 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 da, and because you're so tall, I have to reach up and over. And I looked at him. I said, I am taller than you. I didn't realize it. And I've known him since I was a kid, and that was part of it, So I was so used to looking up to him, and he's an elder, and he's taught me a lot that in my brain he was taller than me, which is really funny. And it was that time he was like 5'11", so he wasn't like that much shorter than me, but I really feel like that. So but yeah, you're a giant, Suzi. So thank you for everything you've given to me and everything you've taught me. Most of what I discuss on this podcast, I discussed through I learned or arrived at, whether right or wrong, through my discussions with you. So I appreciate it, and thanks for all the growth.
My pleasure. We're just beginning. We're going to keep
just getting started.
Getting started. All right. Have a great night, and I'll see you soon. I'll see you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thanks, George.
Bye-bye.